Atop the plateau of Giza stands a magnificent beast whose presence has puzzled historians from the times of Hellenistic Greece to modern times. With the body of a lion and the head of a human wearing the headdress of a pharaoh, the Sphinxes guarded the pyramids of Giza since they were probably constructed during the Old Kingdom period of ancient Egypt. But was the Great Sphinx constructed along with the Great Pyramids of Giza? Or did Egyptian pharaohs select the plateau to construct their architectural marvels because of the presence of the Great Sphinx? Welcome to Weirdly Interesting, and today let's look into the secrets of the mysterious Sphinx and why they haven't been solved even thousands of years later. Older than time. Observing the Great Sphinx, the very first thing that will draw your attention would be its broken nose. A popular myth blames Napoleon's troops for shooting a cannonball at it, while the legendary Arab historian al-Makrizi blamed a Fatimid sheikh for desecrating the statue just because some local farmers were making offerings to it. Other theories suggest that the nose may have fallen off due to natural erosion. The real reason behind the missing nose is still a mystery, just like why the head of the Great Sphinx looks so disproportionate from its body. Historians have theorized that the head of the sculpture could have been carved again and again several times by different pharaohs of the Old Kingdom. However, author Robert Temple has a very different theory, and he accuses Middle Kingdom Pharaoh Amenhotep II of the reconstruction of the structure. His photographic evidence demonstrates that during the period of the Old Kingdom, the Sphinx was carved in the image of the Egyptian god of death, Anubis. According to his theory, there was a water-filled moat around the structure where religious ceremonies were held. Temple further provided arguments that the exact size and position of the Great Sphinx were geometrically determined concerning the pyramids of Cheops and Khephren, and that it was a part of a pharaonic resurrection cult. It is also possible that the original head could have been of other animals, such as a ram or a hawk. But English geologist Colin Reeder believes that the answer to the mystery of the original head of the Sphinx is much simpler, and like the body, the head resembled a lion as well. It is known that nearly 10,000 years ago, Egypt wasn't an arid land like today. Back then, lions inhabited the wilds of Giza and surrounding areas. So it does make sense that for early Egyptians, the lion was a much more potent symbol of power than the human face. According to this theory, readers suggest that the statue was later recarved to be modeled in the image of Khufu. Reader believes that a sunken palace on the Giza plateau was provided enough evidence that there was activity in the area before the building of the pyramids. The Sphinx's enclosure does suggest that it was built many years before the Great Pyramids. Furthermore, the Sphinx's style implies that it is older than the other tombs at the site. If somehow we could recreate the original structure, we may be able to date this amazing structure accurately. A second Sphinx? Certain Egyptologists have questioned the uniqueness of the Great Sphinx. The statue that is positioned deliberately to face the sun was called Horem Akhet during the Middle Kingdom period. Horem Akhet means Horus of the horizon. But was it always a one-of-a-kind structure? Not everyone agrees on that. Some historians have pointed out that duality and symmetry were an important and integral part of ancient Egyptian architecture. The Egyptians weren't just builders, they had an artistic thumb, and they loved to express themselves in the structures they erected. May it be mighty pyramids, extravagant temples, or colossal statues, they always come in a symmetric arrangement of two or more. Then how come the Sphinx is the only structure that never found its life partner? According to a researcher that spent more than a decade searching for the lost second Great Sphinx, there is some archaeological evidence that the builders of the mighty beast did indeed build two sphinxes on the plateau of Giza. He debates that the people in the Middle and New Kingdom always depicted two sphinxes and not just one. Along with the ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and even Muslim kingdoms of Egypt have mentioned the Second Sphinx, and that means it must have been destroyed somewhere between 1000 AD and 1200 AD. The Second Sphinx theory also derives evidence from the Egyptian creation myth, in which the mighty Atop gave birth to his twins, son Shu and daughter Tefnut, in the form of a lion and lioness. So by that logic, if the lion-shaped sphinx is supposed to be a spiritual guardian, then there must be a counterpart of it in the form of a lioness. The idea of two sphinxes at Giza is intriguing and plausible, but it is in direct contradiction to another theory that the one and only sphinx was constructed well before Egyptian influences could be brought to bear on it. The treasure beneath the sphinx? The myth of the sphinx being mythological creatures of knowledge and wisdom perhaps has its roots in the reason why they were built in the first place. Legend has it that there is a maze below the paws of the sphinx that leads to the mystery-shrouded Hall of Records, where all essential knowledge of alchemy, astronomy, mathematics, magic, and medicine was stored. A sort of ancient Egyptian equivalent of the Vatican Archive. Some have also theorized that the tunnels inside Sphinx could lead to a lost subterranean city, but there hasn't been any evidence in support of this. Over the years, many tunnels have been found, but with disappointing results, as they all have led to a dead end or didn't even reach underneath the Sphinx. Zahi Hawass claimed to rediscover access tunnels to several large and seemingly natural caves below the Sphinx, but no artifacts were uncovered, although Hawass said there was some evidence of earlier ancient excavations. He also admitted that there may be other unexplored cavities beneath the structure. Would we ever find these lost secrets? It is highly improbable. Who built the Great Sphinx? The popular theory is that the Great Sphinx was erected in honor of Pharaoh Khafre, the son of Khufu, who was responsible for the erection of the Great Pyramids of Giza. But the stark difference between how pyramids were constructed and how Sphinx was sculpted casts a shadow of doubt on the theory. Unlike pyramids that were constructed piece by piece, Sphinx was likely sculpted by a single block of limestone, which itself is a miraculous feat. Moreover, it's quite peculiar that till now we have found no texts or etchings depicting the records of the construction of the Great Sphinx, which is very weird, because Egyptians love to record their accomplishments one way or the other. This fact probably points out that Sphinx may have been sculpted by the precursors of the Old Kingdom. Over the years, there have been many theories supported by not particularly conclusive evidence that Sphinx is perhaps twice as old as we think. In the light of all arguments, many conspiracy theorists and alternative theorists have outlandishly proposed that aliens had a hand in creating the Sphinx too, going as far as citing similarities between the Sphinx's visage and a humanoid face that appeared in a satellite photo of Mars. Sphinxes have appeared across Egyptian, Asian, and Greek mythology, and it's always a creature with the body of a lion and the head of a human. However, there have been many variants of Sphinxes found in Egypt, as thousands of Sphinx statues have been unearthed around the land. Some other famous ones include the Alabaster Sphinx of Memphis, now part of an open-air museum, and the nearly 900 ram-headed Sphinxes of Thebes. Sphinx statues were typically placed in front of pyramids, as it was believed that these creatures would guard the spirits of the dead. Today, the most popular version of the Sphinx comes from Greek mythology, which depicted them as highly knowledgeable yet sadistic creatures who loved to toy with their prey by asking them riddles. Failing to answer them correctly ended in your demise. So, we too will leave you with a popular Sphinx riddle from Sophocles' play. There are two sisters. One gives birth to the other, and she, in turn, gives birth to the first. What are they? Tell us your answer in the comments. Thanks for watching Weirdly Interesting. Please share and like the video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one.